Hi beauties, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is all about how to keep your makeup on when wearing a face mask. So if you'd like to find out more, then just keep watching. Recently, I returned to work. I've been working remotely, but I returned to work. And one of my concerns, of course, I don't want to catch COVID-19. So I am all about the mask. I also know that I'm not alone, and many of you are fighting the battle against COVID, trying to stay safe, trying to protect yourself and your neighbor, and making sure to wear your face mask. I was not going to stop wearing my makeup just because of a face mask. I still got to have on my makeup when I go to work. So I was doing everything that I needed to do to remain safe: hand sanitizing, hand washing, wearing my mask, social distancing. I was doing all of those things, but I also wanted to figure out a way to make sure that my makeup didn't come off when I was wearing my mask, because there were times when I would remove my mask when I was in the comfort of my office, but someone might come to my door, and of course I was putting my mask back on, but whether anyone else was looking at me or not, I didn't want to have like craziness going on my face because my makeup was coming off every time I put my mask on and off. So I'm going to tell you all what I did this week that really worked to keep my makeup on my face. Also, if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for joining me for today's video. And if you're new to my channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button before you leave. Here are the few steps that I did to keep my makeup on. And I will say it wasn't completely transfer resistant. I could take the mask on and off and my makeup still looked flawless, even though a little bit of it was transferring into the mask. So it wasn't completely transfer resistant. I do want to give that disclaimer. I applied sunscreen that is also a gripping primer. So this is the Supergoop Unseen SPF 40 broad spectrum sunscreen. It's water and sweat resistant. It also acts as a makeup gripping primer that's perfect for all skin tones. It really works for African American skin. I've really been trying to get with the program of wearing sunscreen. I wanted to search for something that wasn't going to leave like a white cast on my face, and this goes on clear, so I was like, check, love that about it. Then it doubles as a primer, check. Is a clear sunscreen that feels a little bit like those primers that have a little bit of the silicone slip to it, except it really grips to your skin. It grips and it causes your makeup to grip. All week I have been wearing this. Occasionally I would add in another primer. I might add in a little bit of my Bobbi Brown face base. This is a moisturizer, but it is for oily skin. People sometimes confuse this and think that it is for dry skin because it says vitamin enriched face base. People don't realize it's for oily skin. So I also would sometimes use this. I also used this one from The Ordinary. If you're looking for something affordable, this is the one I would recommend. It is The Ordinary High Adherence Silicone Primer. Adherence. So look for a primer that claims to grip and adhere. Others that I would recommend, I have little samples here, but I also like the Hourglass Veil Primer, and I got a bunch of these in Point Perks. It is also very good if you have like oily skin. This is one that's almost gone from Fenty. The Soft Matte Primer, I think, is maybe what it is called, and it is very good for like oily skin. This is the Milk Hydro Grip Primer. I also have another one by Urban Decay that is gripping. I don't have it over here with me, but you guys see what I mean. That was the first thing I did. The second thing that I did to help my makeup stay on my face was to apply a setting spray. Instead of using a facial mist like my MAC Prep and Prime or my Smashbox Primer Water, even though those are priming products, I decided to use a setting spray instead as my prep spray because it is for setting makeup into place. And I felt like applying it at the second step would really help everything else that's going on top. So this just happens to be the one that I used most of the week. I also used my Kat Von D spray. I used that one as well. Today I just tried out the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. I forgot I was testing this out. I used this one to prep my face, and then I followed with this one at the end. But it is also a facial setting spray that claims to set your face for like 16 hours. So you're gonna want to find a setting spray that sets. Those other sprays, like I said, the prep and prime, and there are some different ones that are like a mist that are prep spray. They're really not there to set your makeup. So I don't know that it's gonna do that much to help your makeup stay on with the lovely face mask. The third thing that I did was to go back to my tried and true Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation. Ignore my pump here. This is the shade 5W 1.5 Cinnamon. That's the shade that I use, and I'm wearing it today on my face. I have all of these things on my face right now. It is a long wear, will not budge, go anywhere type of foundation. It does transfer. Like, I haven't really found a foundation yet that is completely transfer proof, but a lot of them you can keep in place pretty good. Asking a foundation to never rub off on a piece of fabric, it's a big ask if you expect a foundation to do that. It doesn't do that. It does transfer, but it does stay in place really, really well. So this is one that I have. I have several that I would consider to be really good at staying in place. My Pat McGrath stays in place. My La Mer stays in place. There is a L'Oreal Fresh Wear foundation that stays in place pretty well. It is a long wear foundation. Pro Infallible Matte as well as Glow. Those are also long wear if you're looking for foundations that are from the drugstore. This is also my YSL All Hours foundation. This is also another long wear foundation. This is the foundation that I've been using all week, and it has not failed me yet. The Double Wear as well as the YSL foundation, and I have a Dior foundation. There are a couple foundations that the second I put them on my skin, I don't have to buff them out very long before they are adhered to my skin. You guys know those types of foundations, and then there are others that you can just keep buffing it into the skin. They're just moving around. Those are not the ones you want to wear. But I like to use my Tarte Bamboo buffing brush to buff this into the skin. It's like an airbrush brush. So I use that this week, but also sometimes I will use a beauty blender. The sponge application, it makes your foundation melt with the skin. So if you find that when you use a brush, it doesn't do that, for me, this one works. If you find that it doesn't really like adhere to the skin as best as it can with a brush, try using a sponge and it will to the skin. It just does. So I have been incorporating my beauty blender a little bit whenever I'm applying my foundation, and it really has been helping the foundation really stick to the skin. But this does it too for me. This is good stuff. For powder, I don't have them here with me. If you're new here, you don't know this, but I live between two homes. So my work home is where I've been all week. I've been using my Laura Mercier in my T-zone area, and I've used my Chanel powder all over, and that has done a pretty good job of setting my makeup in place. Those are very good. But I also think that like my Peach Perfect by Too Faced is also a powder that I have that really sets my makeup. If you're looking for an affordable one, the Maybelline Fit Me powder is also really good at setting your makeup into place. Today I was testing out products. It's not a favorite yet, but my makeup has not budged at all, and I haven't had to touch up. I think it has a lot to do with the fact that I use this Nikkia Joy powder. She has oily skin, and she has developed this powder that she sells from Australia that is really good at setting your makeup and not getting oily throughout the day. So that is what I used today, and it blew my mind. So my point is, guys, that you need to set your makeup with a reliable setting powder. And another thing that I did was bake. I don't always bake, but today I did bake, and I have been baking all week. You guys know what baking is. I've been using my sponge. I also use like my Laura Mercier puff to apply the powder, and while I do my brows, I just let it sit there, and I put on more powder than I typically put on so that I was actually baking, so that I really made sure I got a good set. The first day that I did this whole routine, I used my Tarte Shape Tape, and I felt like my under eyes looked a little bit too dry. It's summertime, it's a little bit dry as well, and the baking kind of made my under eyes more dry, but I needed to bake. The mask kind of rests here, and I just didn't want my concealer moving, so I decided to switch it up, and I changed to my Giorgio Armani Power Fabric concealer, and I mixed it with my Radiant Creamy. They're a little bit softer under my eye, and they're not so drying, so they can withstand the baking process. They can withstand the heat. I have on the Radiant Creamy and the Double Wear Concealer today, but throughout the week I have been wearing the Armani and the Radiant Creamy. So I applied my concealer, I baked, and I baked around the rest of my face, and that really helped to set my makeup in place. I hate I started doing numbers because I don't remember what number I'm on. I'll pop it on the screen. My next recommendation is not to apply a creamy lipstick. I usually like wear my lip liners and my creamy lipstick, and then I will apply a lip gloss on top, but that means that lipstick is definitely going to probably get all over my mask, and I will have all these colors in my mask. Now this is a great one because it has a darker fabric, and so the makeup transfer is not so bad. But like one day I wore this one that has white in it, and of course you're going to see more makeup there. What I would recommend that you do is wear a gloss. This week I went back to my Fenty Gloss Bomb right here. I'm going to put a little bit more on right now. I think this is Fenty Glow. I have been wearing it as my lip color. It would leave less color on my mask, even though it might touch the mask and transfer. Amazingly, guys, this lip gloss stayed on my lips until lunch. So I didn't have to reapply the gloss. This particular one is thick and just nice and juicy and amazing. If you are a person that loves lipstick and you just don't want to give that up, I would recommend that you wear a liquid lipstick because it is not going to budge. It's not going to probably transfer at all on your mask, and it will be there every single time you take your mask on and off. My objective was to not feel like I had to check my face in the mirror every single time I took my mask on and off to see if it had left marks or lines down my nose. I did everything I could to make sure that it stayed in place, and all of these methods really did help, guys. I'm telling you. Another tip is to apply less color products to your face. So I did use a bronzer and I did use blush, but I just tried not to go overboard. So if you don't want a lot of color transfer onto your mask, don't apply that much color, because is it really necessary? I mean, you're gonna be covered up most of the time, but you do want to look even. Like, you don't want to just put makeup on half your face. You want to apply your makeup all over your face. Just kind of keep it light in these areas as far as your color products. And the last thing that I did is what I always do is I set my face with my setting spray at the very end. And of course, wait until it dries before you apply your face mask. Before I apply my sunscreen, I do apply moisturizer, and the moisturizer that I like to use during the summer or anytime really is the Clinique Dramatically Different Moisturizer. I have used a lot of moisturizers throughout the years, and I prefer a gel moisturizer anyway, which that one is, but it is probably the best moisturizer that I have used for my oily T-zone area. It doesn't add to the oiliness of my skin throughout the day. I can tell a drastic difference when I use that moisturizer over others during the day. I use my heavier moisturizers at night. So if you're a person who sometimes gets oily wherever, T-zone or all over, try that moisturizer out. Not only is it really good and really made for oily combo skin, it is more affordable than a lot of moisturizers that I have seen at Sephora. It is definitely affordable, and you get a lot if you buy a larger size. So I use that first before I use my sunscreen. I'm just gonna apply my mask here, and I just was very careful with applying it. And I like to go around my earrings here. That seems to be more comfortable. And I just adjusted it here. Okay. There you go. So I have my mask on. I know you can't hear me as well now. Right now, the way this mask is made, it doesn't really touch my lips. Like I have enough space here where my lips are, where my lips aren't really rubbing up against the mask that badly, so that is great. So you're gonna wanna look for a mask that fits you properly. And I also noticed with some masks, if it has too heavy of a seam right here, that inevitably you'll have a mark on your nose. And so this one isn't too bad as far as the seam. This is a homemade mask that someone in my area makes, so I can't get them for you, but they are excellent. So you need to find somebody that's a good seamstress that can sew you some really good masks. So you need to also be very careful, I think. When you remove your mask, you should be removing it using the ears and not touching the face anyway. I didn't have it on that long, and I realized that I didn't have it on that long. I get it. But you can see that nothing moved. Nothing moved at all. Like, still in place. Slaying all day. So that's it. So those are my tips for really keeping your makeup on underneath these lovely face masks. If you have other techniques that you've been using to keep your makeup on underneath a face mask, be sure to leave that down in the comments down below so that we can all learn from that. If you try any of these techniques that I've shared and it works for you, be sure to leave that down in the comments as well. So I hope that you have enjoyed today's video and found it to be helpful. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. If you have questions or comments, leave them down below and I will respond. And if you've not already subscribed to my channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button before you leave. So I'll be seeing you guys again very soon in my next video. So until the next time we meet again, this is Savvy signing out.